I'm TarotOracle, and this is a video course on mastering tarot combos. Now, I do have an ebook that I wrote of the exact same nature. If you're interested in that, link in the description. But I figured people would want some videos to accompany that, as well as sort of give you an introduction to how things work. So, what are we doing here? The purpose of mastering tarot combos is obviously I have read many books. We've all read many books on how to get definitions for certain cards. So I want to know what this card is, that card is, that card is. I know what they mean. Now, when I put them together, sometimes we just have some confusion about how they go together, what they do, etc. So as a group, as an organization, we need to be able to address this with the querent. Now, obviously, if you go to the doctor and you drop a bowling ball on your foot, the doctor can name all of the little tiny muscles that were broken, all of the tendons that were strained or bruised or even broken as well, and they can tell you all the detail for hours because that's what they do. But at the end of the day, they're going to tell you your foot is broken. I mean, at some point, we need to just minimize it, reduce it down, make it more seamless to present to your querent. And that's sort of where we're at with the tarot combos. And I say that because we are going to heavily simplify many different things about the tarot. When I say simplify, we're just going to group things up into card groupings, and then we're going to have the groupings relate to each other as they're put on the table. So again, reducing it down, simplifying it, and that's how we're going to do. Now, obviously, this is not the end-all, be-all of tarot. You still need to stick with your definitions. You need to learn astrology, Kabbalah, numerology. All of that helps. But again, at the end of the day, you got to relate it in a relatable way to your querent, and that is sort of where we're at with this. Obviously, this is going to be great for a beginner as well. So if you're just starting out tarot, this is going to extremely simplify how you read the cards. So let's start with the first grouping that we have, which is planning cards. Now, again, oversimplification, but that's okay because that's how we're rolling it. The planning cards are going to be the Two of Wands, domain. Obviously, looking out amongst has the globe. We're looking out, we're planning, we're strategizing. We're doing some thinking and organization for this. Now, what are planning cards in general? They mean that we need to stop and plan, obviously. We need to come up with a strategy. Maybe our plan doesn't work. Maybe we needed a plan from the beginning. Maybe we leaped into this situation without a plan, and now we're kind of suffering and paying the price. At some point, we need to, back up, think about where we're going, what we're doing, and come up with a decent plan. And there are a variety of cards to do this. The Two and the Three of Wands are going to be the main ones. Very similar in nature. Obviously, the definition varies for both of these, but you are looking at planning for both cards. So again, an oversimplification, we have planning on both of those as well. So the Two and the Three of Wands. And now we have the Knight of Pentacles and, Justice. The Knight of Pentacles and Justice. Justice says that we need to do some planning as well. We need to figure out what to do about this situation. What is the proper penalty, or what is the proper justice feel for this? Where do we want to go with justice? Do we want to bring the hammer down? Do we want to give lenience? How do we want to balance out the situation? Again, this is a planning card. The Knight of Pentacles as well. If you've watched my court card videos, link in the description if you want to see those. The Knight of Pentacles is literally sort of standing in a field of wheat, as you also see in the Thoth. And they are standing there. They are proud of what they did. They are just sort of, a retrospective on how they accomplished things and how things went, as well as they are looking for what to do next. Where do I go next? What do I do next? Steering kind of mindlessly into a pentacle. And the last card is going to be the Page of Wands. Now, a lot of people are going to ask, what about all of the other things, like maybe the Page of Cups, where they're talking to the fish and whatnot? this is just my interpretation of this. Obviously, you can do your own planning cards. For example, there are many cards in many different decks. If we look at the Gregory Scott Tarot, we have a planning card here. She's looking at the mountain. This is not meant to be a planning card. This is a Seven of Wands after all. It's a defensive card, but it does have a picture of sort of a plan going in here. How am I going to get up there? How am I going to approach this situation? So again, different decks will have different types, but this is just planning card. And today we're using the Rider-Waite to go through with those. So the Page of Wands is my planning card. Again, the core card video kind of tells you a little bit why. This is the Wolverine. They are very excited, very going forward, very getting it done type of card. But right now, they're just sort of figuring out how to do that or how to approach that particular situation. So again, if we go through these, we have those cards plus the 2 and the 3. Okay, so what do planning cards mean? Again, we need to stop and think. We need to stop and decide what we are going to do. You could have a combination, obviously, of a planning card. Let's say we'll do a different planning card for entertainment purposes only. A different planning card. Let's say the 2 into, let's say, a poor card or a bad ramification or a doing bad card. You know, oversimplification. Again, we're not doing good here. We're doing bad. This is a doing bad card. Gross oversimplification. But we need to plan in order to avoid something like this. If we don't plan, we're going to get into a situation where we are just not going to be advantageous for us. So if you have this combo of these two cards, we're planning and then we're going forward that. What if we combine that with a movement card? Now we need to plan in order to get moving. So we need to get moving, we need to get started, we need to get all sorts of things done in order to plan and move. What if we have a stoppage card where everything is just halted and stopped and terminated, right? So the previous thing that we were doing is stopped. It turned out bad. It is terminated. It is halted. Now we need to plan for the future. So you can see kind of at a very simplistic manner how we sort of start combining these cards together. Planning is very important because it will tell you what we're going to do from now on. It can tell you the good or the bad things that are going to come out of that. Obviously, not having a plan or not planning would be the reverse. So now we do not have a plan. We don't know where we're going. And that is going to lead us into something bad, something just poor. A poor planning is going to lead us into those situations, right? Poor planning may end up leading us into a new adventure or something that is going to be spawned or new, or all of a sudden we have something else to do, something more exciting to do, or whatever. A lack of a plan forced us to start over almost. So we have a starting over card where lack of planning gave us into this. Again, oversimplistic, but there you go. That's the way we're going to roll for the video series. So yeah, lack of planning, not planning, and, planning. Obviously, the planning card is going to depend upon any cards that are going to be around it as well. So if we do have a great plan and other people don't agree, or we have planning, but then the planning leads to choices that we're not ready to make, or the planning leads to a lack of choices or a lack of things that we can do to avoid this, sometimes planning can lead us into being defensive about what is coming next, and therefore we end up not moving, or we end up with a movement card that's upside down. So the plan turned us defensive. We were on the defensive trying to sort of make up for things that were coming in, and at the end of the day we ended up not moving or not taking that particular action. So there you go. So there is sort of a, again, overly simplistic planning card ramification. The next category we have are work cards. Obviously, we have a lot of pentacles in here, Master of the Obvious. 3 of Pentacles, as the person is building something, and this lady and this man are giving this person specifications, are showing them a document. So we have a work being done, a work being created. 3 is a birth or creation card. We also have the 7, where we actively planting and we're proud of what we're doing, and we have a good stuff sort of coming in. And lastly, the most obvious one everybody knows, the 8 of Pentacles, where we're literally working and we are steadily going after it. Now, what is the difference between all of these? Well, we have combos later where I'm going to go into detail about work readings and how to interpret these. For now, let's just go with these 3 being work cards. And again, if you have other cards, if you have other decks, for example, this one from the Gregory Scott, the Knight of Wands, obviously a work card. And this could be interpreted very easily as a work card just based upon the image. So if you want to expand that, if you want to include that as a work card, in general, we have people working and people getting stuff done. The obvious question here is, why isn't the Ace of Pentacles included? That is one of the biggest work cards. That's a beginning card, though. You can easily say the Ace of Pentacles is a work card. You could easily sort of categorize this in here. But for now, we're just going to skip it because that is in another category called creation or starting things up. Now, what are the differences between all of these? The 3 is a birth or a creational card. It's where work is beginning and starting. And this is where we have specifications as well to what work that we need done. So if we want to get some work done, this is going to be a work card where we're cranking it up, starting it up, and people are giving us a little bit of tweaks and their feedback and what have you. The next one is going to be working towards a goal. We have a goal from the 7, and that is literally the 9 of Pentacles. The 9 of Pentacles is a critical card here because it's sort of a manifestation of what happens in the 7 after some time passes. So, for example, we're planting, we're getting it done, we're proud of what we have, and we're actively working. This is an actively working card. This is an actively working card. This is an actively working card as well. Now, the 9 is sort of the soulmate of the 7, because what we have is we planted these things and now they have sprouted, and now we can celebrate and relax and share all of the beautiful plants with the pentacles because we are done with the work. We're no longer working. We have manifested what we desire. We're not covering this. This is not a work card, but I'm just telling you the difference between the 7 and the 9. So for now, we have a great working set of cards. Now, what does this mean about working? What is this talking about when we actually are working towards that? Well, now we could be working, maybe we are not working, and now it's time for planning. We're out of work. We've been out of work for a while, and now it is time to plan or to strategize or to find out where we're going to be in the future because obviously we don't have much work going on and whatnot. Now, if we add some cards such as the Wheel of Fortune, which is sort of a day-to-day life card. We have not been working. It's been some time. In other words, the cycles. This is a cycles card. What goes around comes around. There have been many cycles related to us not working. And now we need to plan for the future, figure out where to go, what to do in order to get a job, in order to move on. And then the next objective would obviously be to get moving. To get moving and get going on that. So we have a work card, we have a cycles card, a planning card, and a movement card. Again, let's translate it back out. We have not been working. This indicates a passage of time. What goes around comes around. The Wheel of Fortune keeps turning and turning. We have not been working. It has been some time. We want to get back to normal. Cycles points to getting back to normal, getting back to the day-to-day life activities. Now, because of that, it's time to plan. We can't keep on this. This is a negative cycle, not working. And this says it's time to plan and get moving. A planning card and a movement card together. Let's plan, then let's get moving. So there we go. There is a quick interpretation of the work cards as well. The next category is going to be choices. We have choices to make. We have things to choose. We need to figure out what exactly we're going to do and what is the plan for the next stage of what we're doing. And that's where choices come in. Obviously, the 2 of Pentacles, the 4 of Cups, and the 7 of Cups as well indicate choices. So where are we going with this? A lot of times we need to choose something. Maybe we haven't done it. If it's reversed, maybe we haven't made any choices, or maybe the choices that we have are gone. A lot of times in a love reading, it seems like we have restricted choices, or we have no choices to make. We can't find that balance. This also means balance, by the way. We're just, tossing out keywords. Got to do some of that. But this means choices, and we just don't have the choices that we need. A lot of times we have choices that we dislike. So we have all of these things that are there for us to choose, but we just don't like them. Those choices are not going to be good at all. Those are not going to be things that I want. And so we have negative choices or bad things within the choices. Now we could have a negative card around the choices that we could make. So let's do that. So here we have choices that lead to a negative outcome. So even though we are making choices, we're making wise decisions here, we end up with a negative outcome. So the choices that we make, so the interpretation of this basically is the choices that we make lead to a negative outcome. It could be the choices that we make lead to a reduction of negativity, or a outcome that is not as negative that we had originally thought. Not making a choice, sitting on our hands, not making a choice, plus not doing any planning leads to a negative outcome as well. So here's a quick read. We did not make a choice, or the choices were restricted for us. A lack of planning occurred, and then we ended up in a poor or a bad situation, irregardless of what we had done. So let's do some more sample readings. We made some choices. We had choices to make. However, we did not really work on it. We didn't work to get those choices manifested. We didn't work on getting the results that we needed. We just did absolutely nothing on it, and that led to a negative outcome. Now that we have the negative outcome is here. Now we need to figure out where we're going from here, because we definitely need to get moving and sort of reestablish a good plan and get moving and whatnot to get that sort of going on. A lot of times we will move somewhere, we will get moving and get started on some stuff, and during that process we'll make poor choices. So we did it rash, we did not plan sufficiently, we did not, we need a planning card in there, huh? We did not plan sufficiently. So we moved on it, but we did not plan sufficiently. We ended up in a situation to where we just made poor choices, and that led to a negative outcome as well. So there we go. More readings and more sort of strategizing as far as the tarot goes. We moved, just a lack of planning, a lack of anything, poor choices ended up in a bad result. Now that we're in that bad result, we need to get to a situation where we can start something new or have a new beginning going here. So there you go. There is another sample reading for how the combos sort of move along. And the next cards are defensive and reactive cards, which are kind of the same a little bit. It all depends. Basically, these are when we're in a defensive mode or a defensive posture. We need to react to something. We're defensive. We don't like it. We are hesitant to take that step. We're hesitant to leap into the next thing that we have. Obviously, this would be the opposite of the Fool, where we're just leaping and we're ready to go. Again, other decks as well have cards where we're just leaping and going and ready to go, and we are absolutely all set for that. But these are not. These are, I'm a bit defensive about it. I don't like where we're going, and I have closed body language. You see this with the first one, which is the Two of Swords. Two of Swords is master of the obvious, closed body language, very defensive, blindfolded, defensive. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to talk about it. This is not exactly where I want to be, nor where I want to go. Then we have the Eight of Swords. Again, another defensive card. Obviously, they're tied up. It is a bit not only defensive, but rightfully so, because they are restricted as well. We do have a category on restrictions, And restrictions is a whole nother category, but this is included within that. So let's bring that part up. Some of these categories have the same card twice. So it could be a defensive card, or it could be a restrictions card. It all depends on the context of the question and what cards are around it. You need to, as with everything in tarot, you need to take the entire picture into view and go from there. Another defensive card is the Four of Pentacles, where we are literally defensive going in here because we have a lot of money apparently, and they want to defend the money and protect the money, very protective of what they're doing. Again, obviously close body language gives this away. We have other defensive cards that are not closed body language, but basically are master of the obvious defense cards, though. And we have those as being the Nine of Wands. Nine of Wands is obviously being injured and defensive. Very closed body language as far as having a stick to as a guard for the obvious reasons of we've been injured before. Then the other one is the Seven of Wands, where we're being defensive. This is probably the most defensive card. By the way, the categories do have levels of severity. This is going to be a severe defense. This person is actively being attacked. These people are actively being attacked. They are very much defensive at the moment, and that is going to be a crucial thing for them to defend themselves against oncoming attacks. Again, more severity here for defensiveness, less severity here for defensiveness. So there are levels of severity with this. In other words, if we have a situation where we're really, really defensive, it could rightfully be so. But sometimes we're not too defensive and we're sort of, maybe that's not a good idea. I'm kind of wishy-washy on it. Sometimes we're like, that's not a good idea at all. Get me out of this. Screw this type feel. So again, you need to determine the severity of these defensive cards. All right. So I was presented with a choice, a lot of choices. We have some nice choices that were there. Now, I was pretty defensive about those choices because I've had some experience in the past that was negative with this particular person. So I'm not really sure which way to go. So instead of moving forward on this project, I did not move forward at all. I had a movement card that was upside down. Again, we have obvious other movement cards. We're sticking with the same movement card. I should really sort of change it up, shouldn't I? The Chariot is going to be the master of obvious movement card. We'll use that one. The Chariot reversed movement. I did not move on it. Why didn't I move on it? Because not only was I pretty heavily defensive about this, because I've had bad experiences in the past. I've seen bad things happen. Bad things have gone awry. And because of that, I didn't take this opportunity. I did not move on it. I definitely don't want to put forth the work that is going to be required to get this done. So defensive card, pretty active defensive card. Bad experiences, bad things that have happened. I did not move on it. Movement card reversed. And I did not want to work on that project as well. A work card reversed. Again, a pretty active work card. So levels of severity does matter. So there we go. There is pretty much the first chapter of card combos and how to master that. We have lots more videos to come. This will be a complete course. Please hit like and subscribe. Like and subscribe if you like this video. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one. And the rumors are true. Did you know I had a Patreon? A Patreon is where you can support me. If you like the work I do, if you like the things that you see on the channel, consider supporting me. What do you get, you ask? By the way, 51 patrons. Oh, wow. Thank you so much for all of your support. Everybody on screen is a Patreon supporter. Thank you, and thank you again. I cannot tell you how much your support means to me. I greatly appreciate that. Now, why are they there, you ask? Well, you get all the handouts from all of my projects. So if I have a handout for the collabs or the tarot and the seasons, the selling your tarot on Kickstarter, Psychic Fair secrets, all of the handouts, all of the cheat sheets, you get it all, including all of my books that I've written, the TarotOracle's book, Echoes of Nature book, and the upcoming book that I have for the Waterfall Tarot deck. In addition, you get the Fluffy Virgo Lenormand and all the Lenormand cloths are all included. But the best part, one of the best parts as well, is I teach you how to draw. So if you're interested in drawing stuff, if you're interested in getting pet portraits out the window, I teach you secrets on how to do that in like 4 to 5 hours. You can draw the animals you see on the screen. I have secrets to how to do it super quickly. I have super quick method to where everything you see on the screen was done in 4 to 5 hours. What can you do with this? You can go to your local Facebook groups and sell it. You can go on Etsy and sell pet portraits and make some pretty good cash. I mean, on Etsy, just by the way, this is 15 hours, 15 to 20 hours of information and actual instruction. I show you all of the pencils to use, how to use them, all the techniques step by step. Nice, slow manner. And again, this is only 4 hours work. I mean, you see people on Etsy doing realistic pet stuff. They're charging over $100. So, you know, if you're interested in this, if you're interested in cranking this out in like 4 hours, then definitely see my course. My actual pets look better than that. That's kind of, I mean, that was like a 3-hour job there for me. But yeah, the actual pets look better than that. I mean, look at that and compare it to that. I mean, mine look better. I mean, I'm just saying, mine look super realistic, and I only did it 4 to 5 hours. Anyway, thank you for supporting and watching. Please hit that like and subscribe button. And as always, we'll see you next time.